Good morning, coffee moaners. Good morning, coffee moaners. Apologies for the slight delay. It's one of those mornings where there's an awful lot of stuff that one could throw one's focus on, and in classic ADHD fashion, despite taking ADHD meds, one wants to do as much as possible, but nothing in the world of social media allows you to do everything, does it? So we'll have a good old attempt. Lots of bits, lots of clips, lots of stories, lots of updates and what have you. How is it? Outlandish Creations, my God, Chin Chin, it has been a while. We were absolutely crestfallen the other day because I think Cockwomble still exists, but our Bellend mug took a fall and shattered. It was in pieces. Our Bellend was in pieces. If you don't understand what the hell I'm talking about, and Outlandish Creations, one of our followers who we met in lockdown, she makes the most fantastically rude, outrageous ceramics. So do go and check her out. Morning, everyone. Again, just very briefly, for those who know the channel beyond Coffee Moaning, know our vlogging, our membership area, thanks again for your continued messages regarding my mum. She is still in hospital. I will be seeing her today. We are going through the slow process of physio to see in what way she can return to a pimped up flat full of kit that can get her around. Your audio is a heartbeat. It must be. Is that better? I have a fan cooling the back of my computer. Is that better? So we are going to be talking about the Lisbon Funicular horror story. And you're absolutely right, YouTube. Not only did we go on the funiculars, we went to Lisbon almost 2 years ago now. Ironically, I mean, I said to Nads as she went away for a break, I said, I think I'm going to start to drop Lisbon. Lisbon is the next travel vlog that we're going to land. So it was with an added intimacy insofar as one knows what these rattling, clattering, tram-like things are. You know, a funicular, it's like in lots of seaside resorts, places with hills. They're like trams, but they go up hills. It's a very old-fashioned word for a tram that goes up and down. But yeah, I am going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the awful Lisbon Funicular horror that happened at 6 p.m. yesterday. One of them crashed, and we are looking at a staggering potential number of casualties involved in that. So we are going to talk about that. We're also going to be talking about the voice of Hind Rajab, the Gaza movie, the movie about the young girl, 5 or 6 year old, whose family was killed. She was in a car. She then was on the phone to emergency responders. You've probably heard the recordings at the time. Whenever the Red Crescent tried to get to her, the IDF would shoot them. And she was eventually found after some time in a car, dead in a car, riddled with 335 bullets. So a clear and obvious war crime, one of many that the Israeli army, the Israeli government, and everyone supporting America, the Western media supporting the Israeli genocide, just hopes and presumes that with the passage of time, these crime scenes will vaporize and disappear. We're also going to be talking about Nigel Farage was in Washington claiming that Britain is North Korea. And I want to know if you think we are as tight with our freedom of speech as North Korea. We've also got an image of Donald Trump and Farage in the Oval Office looking like Tweedledee and Tweedledum. So we're going to be talking about that. And we're also going to be playing a few quotes, which I just find absolutely staggering, from some of our Labour politicians regarding flags. Everyone's gone flag crazy, haven't they? Let me just ask before we get going and we talk about Lisbon first and foremost. Anyone here got a flag? Anyone here the proud owner of any kind of flag? It could be a Palestinian flag. It could be a St. George's cross, a British flag, any flag. Anyone here a flag owner? Once you answer that, I'm just going to double up my coffees. Victoria Moore, Farage in Washington. Hopefully he stays there. Absolutely right. They are screening it. You're absolutely right, Reese. The film at the BFI London Film Festival. No flags, Bellex. I've been haunted by the sweet Hind Rajab's voice. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we fly 2 EU flags in my lane. Do you? Wow, EU flags. Nicole F. Union flag. Zoe Agnew, absolutely. Growing up in Northern Ireland, flags had a whole different meaning. Yeah, incredibly potent Potent banners, aren't they? No flags here, BSE Games. I have Welsh flags for the rugby, football, but they never stay up long. Only an England flag when we're playing the World Cup, says Anita Buck. You see, there you go. For me, that's the kind of, it's like my nan. My nan had a food tray, you know, like a tray that you ate. I never ate at a dinner table as a kid. I only ever ate off a tray. And so she would have one of those, weird that you had soft furnishings for food trays. What the fuck was all that about? Soft furnishings. Anyway, so she had a sort of cushioned placemat on a tray, and it was a Union Jack. And I grew up with that. I didn't join the National Front. I didn't see it necessarily as a kind of fascistic thing. So anyway, we're going to talk about flags. Okay, so let's just go to Lisbon. This is the big story on the front of all of the papers. I'm just going to show you the headlines. Portugal declares day of mourning for 15 people. They say it's gone up to 17 now. 15 people killed in the Lisbon Funicular railway crash. I'm going to show you some images here of, so you know what a funicular is. That is the one. That's the one in one of the many or few in Lisbon, and they connect. They're a huge kind of. They've been around since the 1800s. They're a huge kind of tourist attraction, and they connect. It's a very hilly city. They connect, high with low, low with high, and it's a nice way for tourists to travel around. But they're also used. I mean, there's huge tram system in Lisbon, which all of the locals use all of the time. The crash is just awful. I'm going to show you some of the images, and then I'm going to show you some footage that CNN have uploaded. So this is the funicular that crashed on the Rua de Gloria. I've got a horrible feeling we may well have been on this actual route, or even this actual tram. This is, I think, not only did it crash and then collapse, but it went into the side of a building. They have little bends on the tracks as they move around. But I think it may have taken out some pedestrians as well, because you can walk up along either side of them. Firefighters pulling out survivors from the wreckage. So I'm just kind of, as I move through these, I'm just going to, so here is, here's some footage that's been doing the rounds. Just awful. The amount of smoke, as I say, it happened at 6 p.m. I'm just going to show you this clip too. Now, it's weird. This clip, when we were in Lisbon, for any of the members, anyone who's in the members area will know, I went out and did a members live. Do you remember? I sort of walked the tiles. Lisbon's also famous for having tiled kind of pavements, which play havoc when you're walking with flip-flops or Crocs. And I walked out of our hotel and I walked round to the right. And then as I walked round to the right, I think we came across the funicular. I was filmed. I didn't get on it, but there was the funicular. There was the kind of, the slope that it came down. And this route that this camera's walking is that route, once again. Now, in calmer times, I went back into our footage to find you in calmer days, and me and Nadia, one of the shots, obviously this is coming in the vlog, but here's us on that route and on the funicular.
Anyway, I thought I'd take you on the first trip.
You can see how there's another one coming up along the side. You can walk either side of it too. Now they just break it up. Yeah, that's all right, isn't it? very rickety. And you realise that actually they're not entirely dissimilar to like a sardine can. And oh look, there's the subway.
Hello. We're talking to the girls as we're going down.
Yeah, which is because the girls really, really want to come to Lisbon. And one of the things they really wanted to do was go on a tram, so they just experienced it. People call Manny now. Oh look, that's a nice balcony. Manny people like that.
So yeah, it was like traveling down in a sardines tin, and you can't hop off once you're on, and you can see that there are people, sort of very narrow kind of walkway either side. Doesn't she look beautiful, Gabrielle? Thank you so much. So yeah, I mean, God, you know, so Portugal declares day of mourning, 15 people killed, 18 people injured. It derailed and apparently crashed into a building. They say that some foreign nationals, good God, were among the dead. You heard Nadia saying their kids, lots of kids love to go there as a destination, but they would not identify the victims or disclose their nationalities. At least 18 people, including a child, have been injured, 5 of them seriously. And public prosecutors have launched an investigation into the cause. Its sides and top were crumpled, and it appeared to have crashed into a building where the road bends. And so that's everything we know. A cable potentially snapped as well, they're suggesting. Just tragic, just tragic. So yeah, I mean, like someone just said, I imagine now one of the biggest, I mean, that would be a major hit to Portugal as well, because one of the major tourist attractions is the funicular. But also, I don't know if you remember, we had in Croydon, we had that awful tram crash, that tram disaster. Trams always feel quite rickety. And aside from the funiculars, a major part of the whole Lisbon transport infrastructure and, you know, the kind of tourist experience is trams, is going around on trams. So I'm sure that the Lisbon authorities are going to have to do an immense kind of, you know, safety check on absolutely everything. I want to move to Gaza for a moment, but I also want to move to Gaza via this clip, and I'm bringing it in now because I've had so many clips in. I didn't have this one good to go, but this was at the Crown premiere last night. Hugh Bonville, making us proud.
Here I am, the 6 seasons, 2 movies of the final chapter of Downton Abbey, and who better to speak to about that than Hugh Bonneville, who's been there from the very start.
Hello, good evening. Before I talk about the fluff and loveliness of our wonderful film, what's about to happen in Gaza City is indefensible. The international community must do more to bring it to an end. Downton Abbey is a lovely film, and we're going to celebrate 15 glorious years of it tonight. It's a grand finale, and we had a great time making it, and it's a great love letter.
I love the way he did that. I love the way he in order to ensure that it got out, he popped it right at the front of his soundbite. Good on him. And she was speechless. I mean, what can you do? Let's have a look at her again.
The 6 seasons, 2 movies of the final chapter of Downton Abbey, and who better to speak to about that than Hugh Bonneville, who's been there from the very start.
Hello, good evening. Before I talk about the fluff and loveliness of our wonderful film, what's about to happen in Gaza City is indefensible. The international community must do more to bring it to an end. Downton Abbey is a lovely film, and we're going to celebrate 15 glorious years of it.
I mean, so stunned to think. Did you see her mouth? I mean, it's curious, isn't it? Because why? The stunnedness that any kind of journalist or reporter's feeling at a moment like that, when something like the BBC one is, their first thought is they're worrying about their job, and understandably, because they're thinking, oh my God, how I'm going to have someone, I'm going to have a producer, I'm going to have a news editor, I'm going to go back to my desk, I've got someone in my ear, and they're saying, stop it, do something about it, stop something. But you can't. I mean, you know, if you're on a red carpet and Hugh Bonneville decides to say something, and it's the first thing he says, you are caught. You are literally a rabbit caught in the headlights, and her mouth literally hung open. But then part of you begins to think, why are people surprised when people have an opinion on it? And I suppose in a weird way, what he did that was really clever there was he reminded us of, yes, you can go and have some fluffy fun and escape and all that kind of stuff, but actually there's something far more important than all of that shit. But I just wanted to include that because I just thought that was important. Now, I'm also going to show you some really inspiring footage, which is footage of, I'm not going to show all of it, obviously, otherwise we'd be here for 24 minutes. I mean, and separate to how worthy this film inevitably is of this standing ovation, I do sometimes wonder when you have such a long standing ovation, I wonder how awkward it gets for some who maybe are tired or anything. But anyway, this is the voice of Hind Rajab, a very important film, as I say, a sort of, it's not a drama documentary, but it's a drama reconstructing the lead up to and the actuality of the 5-year-old, 6-year-old Palestinian girl whose family were killed. First responders were killed, and we all remember her voice as she spoke to emergency responders or the emergency services on the phone, trying to calm her down as she described her fear and her worry. Now, they used the real audio recording in the film, which is really, I mean, obviously they'll have got the permission from any of her remaining family. And it's just another reminder, isn't it, that fucking hell, the horror story of the genocide in Gaza is just something that, whether it be the double tap killing, whether it be the World Food Kitchen, whether it be the 15 paramedics, whether it be Hind Rajab, the journalist who was on fire, do you remember, sat almost at his desk or on a chair? Countless war crimes that monstrous individual Netanyahu pushes us past, and the world's media complicitly pushes us past, and Starmer and Lammy just allow the grinding wheels of time and the media to just push past. Well, films like this is where the arts, this is where creativity, this is where filmmakers, writers, photographers, this is where the arts serve their purpose, because they will not let people forget. They will not let you forget. So here's just some footage from the standing ovation, a very moving moment after the screening at the Venice Film Festival. Also, Joaquin Phoenix is one of the exec producers on the film. And I just wanted to, I've got some images here. This is Hind Rajab in just normal life, the normalities of normal life, just a normal little girl living her life. The problem is so many members of the Israeli regime, the IDF, those who go around doing this killing, feel nothing about children. If one goes, I think sometimes what can cause us heartache is the feeling that people who commit these atrocities or support these atrocities or argue that, is she Hamas? Was she Hamas? Was her aunt and uncle Hamas? That's what they'll claim. That's what they claim everyone's Hamas. And I think the thing that kills parts of our souls as humanitarians or people who are pro-life, we're pro-life. We're not pro, one side or the other. Just don't kill fucking innocent people. This is outrageous. The part of it all is that, we kill ourselves because we think we can convert. We think we can change their opinion. We think we can make them not heartless, but you just can't. What we've got to understand is that we have a country, a vast majority of the country, who have been indoctrinated and brainwashed. You're dealing with a fanaticism and an extremism equivalent to things like ISIS. You're not going to get past that. So sometimes we have to decide when we know when to argue, when we know who to, deciding who we need to try and push to the right side, because a lot of these people just won't be pushed there. But one of the things I did want to look at, and this is the car in which she died. There've been quite a few artistic recreations of this as a sculpture, riddled with 335 bullets. Just work that out. Just work that out. Just think. There are Israelis responsible, many Israelis probably responsible for those bullets. And I hope they're haunted. I hope they're haunted until the end of days by that car, that girl, that child, and what they did. I mean, unfortunately, it's just one of many, many atrocities. I saw footage over the last couple of days of body parts, children discovered in squashed buildings and what have you. You know, it doesn't just take a bullet to inflict the most inhumane horrors on young children and innocents. But I just wanted to remind ourselves as to where have I got it here? The headline. Look at this headline. This was the headline at the time. Hind Rajab found dead in Gaza, days after phone calls for help. Does anyone feel have a problem with that? Found dead, or was she killed? Was she found dead, or was she killed? And again, it's that choice of language that the mainstream media have used, which whitewashes and seeks to minimize and seeks to justify and seeks to kind of sanitize some of the most egregious, horrendous, horrific crimes that the Israelis have committed, known to man. Hind Rajab found dead in Gaza. Okay, but were all of the victims of October the 7th found dead, or were they killed savagely, viciously? Asal Rad makes a good point. Never forget how the media covered the killing. Look at the New York Times. Missing 6-year-old and rescue team found dead. The one we've just read, Hind Rajab, 6, found dead in Gaza. CNN, 5-year-old Palestinian girl found dead after being trapped in car with dead relatives. AP News, they are shooting at us. A fleeing Gaza family is killed along with the medics sent to find them. That's possibly the closest to accuracy. But they never identify the culpable ones. They never attach the killing or the atrocity to Israel. Every single, and this isn't to say atrocities aren't committed both ways. Every death and atrocity that's committed against an Israeli, a perpetrator is found, is named, is identified, and is then gone on about forever in the press. Every single Palestinian that's killed, maimed, murdered, tortured, arrested, the perpetrator is forever ignored, or it happens to. We've said it before. Israelis are killed, but Palestinians happen to die. I think the poor Palestinians must feel like, are we the only people on the planet who just drop dead? There's no cause and effect here. So I think this film, and also I think it's really important to know that this film receiving a huge standing ovation is important. And I wouldn't be at all surprised, actually, given the vindictive nature of the Israeli regime. Every time something does well at a film festival, I've noticed, and anything that's kind of critical of Israel, they kind of engage in a revenge killing somewhere. So, the headline probably should have been MeToo. 6-year-old killed by IDF firing 335 bullets into car. That's the headline I'd have run. Or I'd have certainly corrected those headlines. I mean, the terrible thing about this is, let me just trot along here. That headline there is still fresh. That if you go online, I screenshotted that from their website today. So they haven't even retrospectively gone back to correct it. And I think retrospectively checking your news is something that lots of news gatherers don't do. If something changes in the news story, you should go back and you should edit, I think. So that's big news. Okay, so let's have a listen to. Shall we have a brief listen to Nigel Farage? Nigel, where is he? Have I got Farage? Where is he? Oh, here he is. Yeah.
We've got will damage trade between our countries, threaten free speech across the West because of the knock-on rollout effects of this legislation from us or from the European Union. So I've come today as well to be a klaxon, to say to you, don't allow, piece by piece, this to happen here in America. And you would be doing us and yourselves and all freedom-loving people a favour if your politicians and your businesses said to the British government, you've simply got this wrong. At what point did we become North Korea? Well, I think the Irish comedy writer found that out 2 days ago at Heathrow Airport. This is a genuinely worrying, concerning, and shocking situation. a very public falling out with Elon Musk.
But you're still trying to get some money from him, though.
Over a political issue.
It's not about the prior disputes.
I'm sorry,
you're trying to ingratiate yourself with the tech bros by coming over here and trying to.
Can I get a cup of coffee or something?
And you're arguing.
We'll be here a long time.
What you're arguing is that.
Did you hear him? Did you hear him? Can I get a cup of coffee whilst he goes on? Because he's going to talk for a long time. Basically, Nigel Farage in America sounding the klaxon. He looks like a klaxon. He looks like an ashtray. He's literally like a walking ashtray. Basically sounding the alarm, saying that freedom of speech, be careful. You don't want to become like us. You'll become like North Korea. And of course, he's talking about, what's his name? Is it Graham Lineham? What's the name of the writer, the Father Ted writer, who said some anti-trans stuff, who was arrested at an airport by 5 armed police. He's also talking about Lucy Connolly. You know, all this stuff about free. It's all such dirge, the freedom of speech, because on the one hand, they don't want anyone to say anything against them. And they only want freedom of speech to spill hatred. It's the same idea behind keep our kids safe. Everyone agrees. Linen, thank you. Everyone agrees. Keeping our kids. I mean, what a redundant statement. Keep our kids safe. You may as well say, I'm a racist, because what you're saying is keep our kids safe just from a particular type of person, because it's worse if they do something to my children. And so the idea of free speech is ridiculous. We all agree with freedom of speech, and we also all agree with being able to express strong, extreme points of view. But if you suggest the killing, or if you engage in race hate, that is a separate law. That is a law. Race hate is a law. Hate speech, encouraging hate is a. Now, where it all gets really tricky is where you have groups like the Zionist lobby who will and have said, we've had this, if you're critical of Israel, if you're critical of Zionism, you are engaging in hate speech and you should be punished and all this kind of stuff. Well, no, I'm against a political ideology. I'm against an imperial ideology. I'm against, to be against an ideology or a sort of thought is very different. So, these people, Nigel Farage, etc., I don't think they'd be banging the drum for freedom of speech for most people on the Palestinian march. They're not banging the drum for freedom of speech for those who support or believe in Palestine action. When they talk about, don't be drawn into this. So when they talk of freedom of speech, it's freedom of their speech to be able to incite horror, violence, and anger. And interestingly, I had the story yesterday, but a very high-ranking police official in the UK actually went on the record or did an interview where he said he encourages politicians. Principally, I felt it was aimed at Farage, Badenoch, Jenrick, and he said they have a responsibility not to fan the flames of social discord, i.e., there's going to be, Nigel Farage sort of says, well, people have a right to kind of get upset. What he's saying is kick shit about and smash things up. Really, that's what he's saying. They literally want the right to hate, Mitri. You're absolutely right. The right to hate, not the right to say whatever you want. They want the right to be racist. They want the right to be extremist. They want the right to blame and scapegoat others. They don't want. They're not interested in freedoms. Believe me, if Farage and Reform get in, one of the last things at the top of his list is going to be freedom of speech for people like us. Can guarantee you that. Guarantee you that. But he rocked up to old Trump's office. Where is it? Lovely photo of Tweedledum Tweedledee. There they are. What if Farage realizes that his arms look a bit strange when he stands like that? Look, Donald Trump looks like he's got a brand new set of gnashers there, doesn't he? And a flag coming out of his head. Look, someone's literally thrown a flag into his head. I'm not too sure. I think this might have been taken shortly before or after Donald Trump posted this about Rosie O'Donnell. Can you believe he actually posted this? This is on his Truth Social. As previously mentioned, we are giving serious thought to taking away Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship. She is not a great American and is, in my opinion, incapable of being so. I mean, hang on. So in the same breath, freedom of speech, but Rosie O'Donnell is going to have her citizenship revoked because she's critical of Donald Trump. I mean, do they not hear but maybe, do they not? Well, they don't do nuance, do they? They don't do nuance or self-reflection, so they wouldn't get it's like such a fucking contradiction. It's moronic. It's totally moronic. In other news, let me have a look. I just want to, oh, right. So on that, so we've got a flag coming out of Donald Trump's head. That's not the likeliest segue. I just want to show you a couple of clips. And I've never seen two clips or Keir Starmer. Donald, please, Donald, leave me alone, Donald. I do love the St. George's flag. I've got flags everywhere. I've got a Chelsea flag. I've got an Arsenal flag. No, he's an Arsenal fan. I've got flags everywhere. Flags coming out of my bottom. You name it. Donald, put an American flag in my forehead. All this hysteria and conversation around flags. Let's have a listen to Keir Starmer gimping away about flags.
One of the things we've seen an awful lot of is people putting up flags, St. George's flags, Union Jacks. It sparked such a debate on 5 Live. Some people say it's patriotic. Some people say it's racist. Which is it?
I'm a supporter of flags.
I'm not sitting with one. You've got a Union Jack behind you.
I've got one behind me.
I'm a supporter of flags. Donald, I'm a supporter of flags. I'm a huge supporter of flags. I've got flags everywhere. How can you be a supporter of flags?
Some people say it's patriotic. Some people say it's racist. Which is it?
I'm a supporter of flags.
You are sitting with one. You've got a Union Jack behind you.
I've got one behind me. Are you
a supporter of people painting roundabouts and hanging them from lampposts?
Look, I'm the leader of the Labour Party who puts the Union Jack on our Labour Party membership cards. I always sit in front of a Union Jack. I've been doing it for years, and it attracted a lot of comment when I started doing it. And in our flat, which is upstairs from here, as you know, we've got the St. George's flag in our flat.
So you're encouraging people to put up more flags?
I'm very encouraging of flags. I think they're patriotic, and I think they're a great symbol of our nation. I don't think they should be devalued and belittled, and I think sometimes when they're used purely for divisive purposes, it actually devalues the flag. I don't want to see that. I'm proud of our flag. I sit in front of our flag, and I'm very, very proud to do so.
Have you noticed that when he gets a word, he's a bit like Donald Trump. He doesn't stop saying it. Flag. I'm a big fan of my flag. Absolutely flag. Anyway, it gets worse. Listen to Yvette Cooper.
Flag on display in your home? On your home?
Yeah. We actually have Union Jack bunting on our garden shed at the moment. I've got St. George's flags. I've got St. George's bunting. I've got the Yorkshire Rose bunting as well. I've got Union Jack flags and tablecloths. We've got the lot.
Oh, coming around your gaff, Yvette. Oh, my God, you're so British. And your husband works for Good Morning Britain. It's like, oh, my God, you're so British. You're so British. Oh, Yvette Cooper, you've got bunting, you've got Union Jack roses, you've got English roses, you've got flags, you've got flags, you've got flags. She's even got a St. George's flag tattooed on each buttock. Wow. Oh my God, where have we got to that our fucking politicians are having to go on at the fucking airwaves and talk like this? What a load of old drivel. Over at the Gaza Flotilla, let's join Greg Stoker for a brief tour of one of the boats. He's picking up on the news story that Ben Gvir, that nasty little fascist who sits alongside Netanyahu in the Israeli government, has threatened to treat all of the flotilla crews as terrorists, full-blown terrorists. They're going to be put into terrorist prisons, and they're going to turn their boats. They're going to transform their boats into a municipal police fleet. So Greg Stoker grapples with this and takes us on a tour of one of the boats.
Mr. Itamar Ben-Gvir says we're all going to go to terror prison for longer sentences than previous flotillas, and he's going to turn these boats into a police force for interdiction. Not only is this under sail, got some sail power, it doesn't have bow thrusters, so it can't even like dock without assistance. Let's go down and see where your valiant police officers will be staying. All right, we're gonna go walk down this fucking, god damn it. All right, got plenty of living space. There's Ed.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, Ed.
Also, in case you guys need to light things, you got these paraffin lamps in case your cops forget their headlamps. So it's all decked out to run naval interdictions against, like, who? Pirates. And also, we got a little small kitchen, making some stuff. What are we having?
We're having a soup with pork sausage.
Wait, we have pork sausage?
Yes.
Where do we get that? See that? It's fancy. It's also not halal at all, so, or kosher. So we just made pork sausage in your police boats.
I love him. I love him. We've just made pork sausage in your police boats. It's like someone said, we talked about it briefly yesterday or the day before at some point. You know, is there anything Israel, the Israeli government or the Israeli regime owns? Or is it all bought for them? Or do they just steal it? Because their entire economy is propped up by America. Without America, it wouldn't be able to survive. And everything they have, they've nicked off Palestinians. And that's not a kind of, that's just an accurate description. Whether it be houses, I saw footage again this morning of more settlers going into, dozens of settlers going into a house in Hebron, a Palestinian house, taking in stuff, tables. I mean, they must have. Does this not sort of lead to shame and embarrassment and humiliation that they just have to keep taking from others? And then they wonder why people get annoyed. You can't just keep grabbing toys in a playground and hoarding them for yourself and saying they're all mine, 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 and then not expect someone else in the playground to thump you in your forehead. Astonishing. And finally, this footage. This is amazing. I just want to show you this clip. I just want to make sure I get the name of the person correct. These are U.S. Army veterans Anthony Aguilar and Josephine Gilbo being forcibly removed and arrested for disrupting a Senate hearing after denouncing American complicity in Israel's genocide in Gaza. Aguilar, a retired Green Beret and whistleblower who worked as a security guard at the GHF, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation aid distribution, has exposed Israeli abuses at the site. So you'll recognize him. But these two are protesting. Look how they're treated in America.
Are being arrested right now for interrupting a foreign affairs hearing on nominations because the U.S. is complicit in genocide. They are complicit in the slaughter of babies.
The United States government is complicit in genocide. You have an obligation to the Constitution of the United States. I'm a disabled veteran.
There's a genocide! There's a genocide! Stop!
You are all complicit in genocide.
You're complicit in a genocide! You're complicit in a genocide! Eddie, there's a genocide! Eddie, there's a genocide!
She knows the police officer arresting her.
There's a genocide!
So remember, guys, in America and here, respect your veterans. They are to be respected, thanked, appreciated, but only if they say what you want them to say. Only if they say what the government wants them to say. And you're right. Thank you, Kate AK. It is the Gaza Tribunal being sort of helmed by Jeremy Corbyn. Francesca Albanese is there too. So yeah, we will be hearing more about that. It's going to be immediately questioned and queried as not a proper tribunal because it's not being called by the authorities. This is how cover-ups happen. And it took us time to get there. This is how the system allows genocides to happen. So you have an organization like the ICJ or the United Nations that's there to stop it. They can't stop it. They don't stop it. They say you should stop it and you must stop it. But because the wheels of those institutions don't move, nothing ever happens. And then it doesn't get stopped. And then we all move on because the world moves on moving. And then you set something up like this, Jeremy Corbyn's Gaza Tribunal, and it will make findings. It will deliver facts. We will come to some pretty obvious conclusions that won't be particularly surprising to most of us about how complicit we are in the genocide. And it will then be dismissed. by the authorities because they themselves won't vote for a tribunal. It's all stitched up that, you know, there's not enough people in Parliament to vote for a proper tribunal, so a tribunal happens anyway and it will be dismissed. It's just, you know, sometimes it begs the question, what is the point of engaging or taking part in all the aspects of this so-called society? It doesn't work. It only works for those in power. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Do subscribe, do hit the notification bell if you want more ramblings and digesting of the news and throwing up of clips and thoughts and ideas. Thank you for all of your contributions always. And we will see you soon. Take care, guys. Have a good day.